Ancient aliens. Were we visited by extraterrestrials in the past? Have you ever looked at the ancient wonders of the world and thought, there's no way humans built that? Not alone? Across deserts, deep jungles, and atop mountains, there are structures so magnificent and mysterious that some believe their creators had help from the stars. Welcome to the world of ancient aliens. The term ancient aliens refers to the idea that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in the distant past and influenced human civilizations. While mainstream archaeology attributes the rise of complex societies, monumental architecture, and technological innovation to human ingenuity, ancient alien theorists suggest that humanity had a cosmic boost. The roots of this theory can be traced back to the late 1960s, particularly to Swiss author Erich von Däniken's groundbreaking book, Chariots of the Gods. Published in 1968, this book proposed that many ancient myths, legends, and monumental achievements were actually records of encounters with beings from another world. Von Däniken argued that ancient peoples misunderstood advanced extraterrestrial technology and recorded it as acts of gods and magic. At the core of the ancient aliens hypothesis is the observation that many ancient civilizations created structures and technologies that seem astonishingly advanced for their time. Consider the Great Pyramid of Giza, precisely aligning with true north, or the Nazca lines of Peru, massive geoglyphs that can only be fully appreciated from the air. Were these truly the works of primitive societies, or evidence of guidance from visitors who descended from the skies? Advocates point to ancient texts and artwork that seem to depict flying machines, spacesuits, and extraterrestrial beings. They highlight stories from the Mahabharata and the Ramayana in India, which describe flying machines known as vimanas, and epic battles waged in the skies with weapons resembling nuclear explosions. Similarly, the Book of Ezekiel in the Bible describes a vision of a flying chariot accompanied by wheels within wheels, interpreted by some as a description of a spacecraft. Artifacts also fuel the fire. The so-called Saqqara bird, an ancient Egyptian artifact resembling a modern glider, or the Baghdad battery, believed by some to be an ancient electrical device, are cited as potential relics of advanced, perhaps even alien technologies. Proponents argue that the similarities between myths of sky gods and heavenly visitors across disparate cultures, such as the Dogon tribe of Mali, the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, and the Mayans of Central America, suggest a shared experience with beings from another world. How else, they ask, could isolated civilizations develop such sophisticated astronomical knowledge and architectural techniques? The popularization of ancient alien theory exploded with the History Channel's Ancient Aliens television series, first aired in 2009. Hosted by figures like Giorgio A. Tsoukalos, whose wild hair has become an icon in itself, the show explores supposed evidence of extraterrestrial intervention in ancient history. The series has brought the theory to millions worldwide, spawning debates, conventions, and a subculture of dedicated enthusiasts. However, it is crucial to note that mainstream scientists and archaeologists largely reject the ancient aliens hypothesis. Critics argue that attributing human achievements to aliens is not only unscientific, but also diminishes the ingenuity, creativity, and resilience of ancient peoples. Structures like the pyramids and Stonehenge, they assert, can be explained through a combination of available tools, clever engineering, social organization, and decades, sometimes centuries, of labor. Moreover, many so-called ancient astronaut artifacts have been misinterpreted or debunked. For instance, the Baghdad battery may have simply been a storage vessel, and the Saqqara bird could have been a ceremonial artifact, not a model glider. Skeptics warn that confirmation bias, seeing what you want to see, is a significant danger when interpreting ancient relics and texts. Despite criticism, the ancient aliens theory persists and thrives. Why? Perhaps because it taps into something deep within the human psyche, a yearning to believe we are not alone, that we have been part of a cosmic drama since the dawn of time. It appeals to our sense of wonder and curiosity about our origins and our place in the universe. At its heart, Ancient Aliens isn't just a theory about extraterrestrial visitors. It's a narrative about humanity's eternal questions. Where did we come from? Are we alone? And if beings from the stars did once walk among us, could they come back? As we continue this journey, we'll explore specific cases, ancient structures, mysterious artifacts, and long-forgotten myths that keep this theory alive and fascinating. Get ready to travel across continents and millennia as we seek answers to one of the most tantalizing mysteries ever posed. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built by humans or with alien help. How did ancient builders create one of the world's greatest wonders with no modern tools, no cranes, and no steel? The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a monument to human ingenuity, or perhaps something even more mysterious. Could extraterrestrial intervention explain this colossal marvel? The Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the most astonishing feats of engineering in human history. Completed around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, the pyramid originally stood at 481 feet, 146 meters tall, and consisted of approximately 2.3 million limestone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. The precision and scale of this structure have baffled researchers, historians, and engineers for centuries. According to mainstream archaeology, the pyramid was built over 2 decades by tens of thousands of laborers, using simple tools: copper chisels, ropes, sledges, and sheer manpower. Ancient workers allegedly quarried, transported, and placed each massive stone with astonishing accuracy. Modern reconstructions have shown that, with enough workers, planning, and time, such a feat could be possible. Yet, ancient alien theorists are not convinced. They argue that the precision of the Great Pyramid is too extraordinary to have been achieved without advanced technology that ancient Egyptians should not have possessed. The pyramid's sides are aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, with an error margin of less than 0.05 degrees. Furthermore, the base is level within fractions of an inch, and the joints between many of the massive stones are so tight that a human hair cannot fit between them. How could a Bronze Age civilization accomplish such precision? Some propose that ancient builders had access to tools and knowledge given to them by visitors from another world. One of the most intriguing aspects is the Great Pyramid's astronomical alignment. The monument is oriented almost exactly to true north, not magnetic north, and some scholars argue that such precision would require advanced understanding of Earth's movements and the stars. In fact, the pyramid's location itself is significant. It sits at the geographic center of Earth's landmass. Coincidence? Or careful design informed by extraterrestrial intelligence? Moreover, ancient alien proponents highlight the mystery of how the massive stones were moved and placed. Traditional theories suggest sledges, lubricated pathways, or laborious dragging methods. Yet even modern cranes would struggle with some of the larger granite blocks found inside the king's chamber, transported from quarries over 500 miles away in Aswan. Theories range from lost ancient technologies, such as sound-based levitation or unknown machinery, to the far more sensational claim that alien beings directly assisted, perhaps teaching the Egyptians construction techniques beyond human capability. Adding to the mystery is the fact that no ancient records, no murals, no hieroglyphs inside the pyramid itself explain how it was built. The Great Pyramid is remarkably silent about its own creation. While later pyramids include inscriptions and records of their construction, the Pyramid of Khufu does not. This silence opens the door for endless speculation. In addition to structural mysteries, theorists point to the pyramid's mathematical significance. It encodes the value of pi, p, and the golden ratio, f, mathematical constants not officially discovered until thousands of years later. Were these merely happy accidents, or signs that the builders had knowledge surpassing their time? Critics, of course, offer more grounded explanations. They argue that trial and error, ingenuity, and generations of cumulative knowledge could account for the pyramid's perfection. After all, the Egyptians had centuries of experience building smaller step pyramids and tombs before Khufu's ambitious project. The discovery of workers' villages and detailed archaeological evidence near the Giza Plateau supports the idea that skilled laborers, not slaves or aliens, built the pyramid through human effort. Nevertheless, the questions remain. If humans built the Great Pyramid unaided, why did subsequent pyramids often show declining quality and stability? Why does the level of architectural sophistication seem to peak with Khufu's pyramid and then regress? And why are so many pyramid-like structures found around the world, Mexico, China, Sudan, Indonesia, built by different civilizations who, allegedly, had no contact with one another? Ancient alien theorists suggest that these similarities point to a common influence, visitors from the stars who shared their knowledge across continents, across time. While mainstream science may scoff, the allure of the alien hypothesis remains powerful. The Great Pyramid stands not just as a monument of stone, but as a timeless question mark, a riddle cut into the earth itself. Whether by human hands, alien intervention, or some combination of both, the Great Pyramid of Giza continues to inspire awe, curiosity, and a sense of cosmic wonder. And perhaps that mystery, unsolved, unyielding, is its greatest gift to us all. Nazca lines, messages to the gods or alien landing strips. Imagine standing in a barren desert, surrounded by endless plains of rock and sand, and beneath your feet, massive drawings stretch for miles. But there's a catch. You can only see their full forms from the sky. Were these mysterious lines messages to the gods, or markers for alien visitors? The Nazca lines of Peru are among the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring creations of the ancient world. Covering nearly 450 square kilometers of the arid Nazca Desert, these enormous geoglyphs depict a variety of figures, stylized animals, intricate plants, and complex geometric shapes. Created by the Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE, the lines have withstood the test of time, remaining remarkably well preserved due to the desert's dry, windless climate. From the ground, the lines appear as shallow trenches, about 10 to 15 centimeters deep. But when viewed from above, they reveal breathtaking images. A giant hummingbird stretching over 300 feet, a sprawling monkey with an intricately curled tail, a spider, a condor, and dozens of abstract designs. How and why the Nazca people created these massive artworks has puzzled researchers for decades. Mainstream theories suggest religious or astronomical purposes. Some scholars believe the lines were ritual pathways used during ceremonies to honor deities associated with water and fertility, critical concerns in a desert environment. Others propose that the lines functioned as an astronomical calendar, aligning with solstices, constellations, and important agricultural seasons. Yet ancient alien theorists offer a far more extraordinary explanation. They argue that the sheer size and complexity of the Nazca lines, combined with their visibility only from the air, point to a connection with extraterrestrial visitors. Could the lines have been designed as signals or even landing strips for alien spacecraft? Proponents highlight several features that fuel this speculation. Many of the lines are unnaturally straight, stretching for miles across rugged terrain with incredible precision. Achieving such accuracy without flight capabilities or modern surveying tools would be extraordinarily difficult. How did the Nazca people manage it? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that aerial assistance may have been involved. Perhaps the Nazca were taught by beings who could observe from above, or perhaps they were building the lines specifically for those watchers in the sky. Further intrigue comes from the purpose of the designs. Why create massive artworks that can only be fully appreciated from hundreds of feet in the air? To communicate with gods descending from the heavens, or to honor beings who once landed in their midst? Some theorists point to certain lines that resemble modern runways, long, flat, cleared paths devoid of major designs. Were these landing zones for ancient spacecraft? The idea may sound far-fetched, but it taps into an enduring question. Why would a culture invest so much effort into massive, non-functional ground art, if not to impress or communicate with those who could see it from above. Adding to the mystery are figures such as the so-called astronaut, a humanoid figure etched into a hillside near Nazca, with a large head, round eyes, and one hand raised as if waving. This figure stands apart from the animal and geometric designs, sparking theories that it represents an alien visitor. Of course, critics offer more grounded interpretations. Archaeologists have demonstrated that the Nazca could have designed the lines using simple tools, stakes, ropes, and grids. By scaling up small drawings through careful measurements, they could plot enormous figures without needing to see them from the air. Additionally, the lines are believed to have been ceremonial in nature, paths walked during religious processions, symbolic offerings to gods above. The emphasis on water in Nazca culture also suggests that many geoglyphs were created as prayers for rain and agricultural fertility. Still, the enigma persists. No definitive written records or oral histories explain the true purpose of the Nazca lines. Like many ancient mysteries, they leave more questions than answers, and continue to fuel the imagination of those who look beyond conventional explanations. Whether seen as sacred messages to the gods, ancient art projects, or navigational markers for celestial visitors, the Nazca lines challenge us to rethink the capabilities and the cosmic dreams of ancient peoples. As we explore more sites around the world, we'll continue to see the same tantalizing patterns: massive structures, astronomical alignments, and stories of gods descending from the skies. Are these coincidences, or clues to a forgotten chapter in human history? Stonehenge, ancient observatory or alien portal, massive stones weighing tons, transported over vast distances and placed with astonishing precision, long before the invention of the wheel. What secrets does Stonehenge hold? Could it be more than just an ancient monument, perhaps even a portal built with the help of beings from the stars? Stonehenge stands as one of the most iconic and mysterious monuments of the ancient world. Located on the Salisbury Plain in England, this prehistoric circle of massive stones has captivated historians, archaeologists, and dreamers for centuries. Who built it, how they built it, and, most intriguingly, why they built it remain questions shrouded in mystery. Constructed between roughly 3000 BCE and 2000 BCE, Stonehenge consists of large standing stones, sarsens, weighing up to 25 tons each, arranged in concentric circles. Some stones were transported from quarries as far as 150 miles away, a logistical challenge that seems almost insurmountable for a prehistoric society without wheels, pulleys, or cranes. Mainstream archaeologists suggest that Stonehenge was built through sheer human determination, using sledges, rollers, and a sophisticated understanding of leverage. It likely took generations to complete, with immense communal effort driven by religious or social motivations. But ancient alien theorists see something more profound and otherworldly. First, there's the matter of transportation and construction. Moving multi-ton stones across such great distances without modern machinery seems almost unbelievable. Could advanced knowledge or assistance have been involved? Theories suggest that extraterrestrial visitors may have provided either the technology or the techniques necessary for this monumental feat. Next comes the alignment. Stonehenge is not just a random assortment of rocks. It is precisely aligned with significant astronomical events, such as the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. At the summer solstice, the sun rises directly above the heelstone, a fact that would have required careful planning and an advanced understanding of solar patterns. For ancient alien theorists, this sophisticated astronomical knowledge is a clue. They argue that Stonehenge might have served as an observatory, not just for charting the seasons, but for monitoring celestial events, or even for communicating with beings from beyond Earth. Moreover, the circular shape of Stonehenge, combined with its precise layout and orientation, reminds some researchers of crop circle patterns and theories about energy fields. Some speculate that Stonehenge could have functioned as an ancient portal or energy center, a place where the boundaries between Earth and the cosmos were thinner. Adding to the mystery, legends surrounding Stonehenge speak of magical origins. Medieval tales attributed its construction to the wizard Merlin, who supposedly transported the stones from Ireland using sorcery. While these stories are clearly mythical, ancient alien theorists suggest that ancient people may have preserved memories of technological marvels they could not understand, interpreting them as magic. Another intriguing point lies in the unique acoustics of Stonehenge. Studies have shown that the stones enhance sound in strange ways, creating a kind of resonant amplification. Could Stonehenge have been designed not only for visual alignment with the stars, but also for auditory experiences, perhaps even to harness vibrational energies? Skeptics counter these theories by pointing out that ancient societies were far more capable than often assumed. They argue that with enough time, labor, and ingenuity, transporting heavy stones and aligning structures with celestial bodies was achievable. Many ancient cultures, after all, demonstrated impressive astronomical and engineering skills. Nonetheless, questions linger. Why was such immense effort poured into a site with no clear utilitarian purpose? Why does Stonehenge, like so many ancient structures around the globe, seem to blend spirituality, astronomy, and monumental architecture into a single, awe-inspiring creation? Ancient alien proponents suggest that Earth may have been part of a greater cosmic network, a network of sacred sites strategically placed and constructed under the guidance of advanced beings. Stonehenge, they argue, could have served as a beacon, a meeting point, or even a means of harnessing Earth's natural energies for interstellar communication. Whether one views Stonehenge as a masterpiece of human resilience or as a marker of extraterrestrial contact, one thing is undeniable. It continues to inspire wonder, curiosity, and the sense that humanity's ancient past may hold far greater mysteries than we ever imagined. Stonehenge stands not just as a ruin of stone, but as a silent sentinel to an age when the skies may have been more crowded and more connected to Earth than we dare to believe. Vimanas, ancient flying machines in Hindu legends. What if ancient battles were not fought only with swords and chariots, but with flying machines soaring through the skies? Ancient Hindu texts describe incredible aerial vehicles called vimanas. Are these myths or ancient memories of extraterrestrial technology? In the rich tapestry of Hindu mythology, few concepts are as captivating or as mysterious as the vimana. Mentioned in ancient Sanskrit epics like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, vimanas are described as flying chariots used by gods, heroes, and sometimes even kings. Their existence raises fascinating questions. Were these purely symbolic creations of a vivid imagination, or echoes of real encounters with advanced technology? The Ramayana, composed more than 2,000 years ago, tells the story of Rama, a divine prince who battles the demon king Ravana. Ravana, it is said, possessed a vimana called the Pushpaka Vimana, a flower chariot that could travel vast distances through the air, moving as quickly as thought itself. The descriptions are vivid: shining metals, soundless propulsion, and the ability to hover, ascend, and maneuver in any direction. Similarly, in the Mahabharata, references are made to flying machines engaging in aerial battles, unleashing weapons that resemble modern descriptions of missiles, lasers, or even nuclear explosions. The language is rich in detail, descriptions of blinding lights, thunderous roars, and firestorms devastating entire cities. Ancient alien theorists argue that these texts are not mere mythology, but historical accounts of real technological marvels. Technologies so advanced they appeared godlike to ancient witnesses. Could the Vimanas have been spacecraft piloted by extraterrestrials? Or perhaps technologies gifted to humanity by visitors from the stars? The Vayamanika Shastra, a Sanskrit text discovered in the early 20th century, claims to be a manual for building and operating vimanas. Though scholars debate its authenticity, many believe it to be a modern forgery. The text goes into astonishing technical detail. It describes the metals needed to construct the crafts, the propulsion systems, including mercury vortex engines, and even the clothing pilots should wear. One passage of the Vaimanika Shastra even discusses various types of vimanas, some designed for battle, others for reconnaissance, and still others for interplanetary travel. If authentic, the text suggests a level of aerospace engineering knowledge unimaginable for the ancient world. Skeptics, however, caution against taking these stories at face value. They argue that ancient myths often used vivid metaphors to describe spiritual journeys, natural phenomena, or the human aspiration to conquer the skies. Just because a culture dreamed of flight does not mean they achieved it or were aided by extraterrestrials. Moreover, critics of the ancient astronaut theory point out that many high-technology descriptions in Hindu epics can be explained through poetic license. Words like flying, thunder, and fire could simply symbolize divine power or natural disasters rather than literal machines. Still, some details in the ancient texts are difficult to dismiss. The specificity of the descriptions, the types of metals, the mechanics of flight, the devastating effects of celestial weapons suggest a technological sophistication that seems out of place for a society that, by all accounts, had no known flying technology. Adding fuel to the fire are modern archaeological discoveries that hint at forgotten achievements. Ancient Indian texts also contain surprisingly accurate knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and metallurgy, fields necessary for developing advanced technologies. Ancient alien theorists propose that if extraterrestrials did visit Earth in ancient times, India, with its profound spirituality and sophisticated civilization, would have been a natural place for contact. Perhaps the Vimanas were gifts or remnants of that interaction, or perhaps they were sightings of alien spacecraft, later woven into the mythologies of gods and heroes. Today, the Vimana continues to captivate scientists, researchers, and believers. It blurs the line between mythology and history, between dream and memory. Whether real or imagined, Vimanas embody humanity's eternal fascination with flight and the mysteries that might lie beyond the stars. As we peer deeper into these ancient legends, we are left with tantalizing possibilities. Were our ancestors mere spectators to the drama of alien visitors? Or were they participants, collaborators in a forgotten chapter of cosmic history? Either way, the Vimanas remain an enduring symbol, a beacon reminding us that the boundaries of our past are far more mysterious than we often dare to believe. Puma Punku, ancient technology beyond explanation. High in the Bolivian Andes lie shattered ruins that defy logic and imagination. Stones weighing hundreds of tons are cut with precision that rivals modern machining. How did ancient builders achieve this? Could Puma Punku be the fingerprints of ancient alien engineers? In the windswept highlands of Bolivia, at an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet, 4,000 meters, lies one of the most mysterious archaeological sites on Earth. Puma Punku. Part of the larger Tiwanaku complex, Puma Punku is a shattered stone temple that has baffled historians, engineers, and explorers for centuries. What makes Puma Punku so extraordinary isn't just its age, estimated to be around 1,500 years old, but the incredible precision with which its massive stones were cut, shaped, and fitted together. Some stones weigh more than 100 tons, and the joints between them are so tight that a razor blade cannot be inserted between them. Mainstream archaeologists suggest that the Tiwanaku civilization, using stone tools and manual labor, crafted Puma Punku as a ceremonial or religious center. They propose that copper chisels, stone hammers, and simple techniques like sand abrasion could account for the intricate stonework. But ancient alien theorists offer a far more dramatic possibility: advanced technology, or extraterrestrial assistance. The evidence fueling this theory is compelling. First, the stones at Puma Punku are made of andesite and diorite, materials so hard that they rank just below diamond on the Mohs hardness scale. Cutting such stone with primitive tools would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. Yet the surfaces are perfectly flat, and some blocks feature complex interlocking shapes and drill-like holes. Second, the precision of the cuts suggests knowledge of advanced engineering principles. Many of the blocks feature right angles with an almost machine-like perfection, and some display a mirror-smooth polish. How could a pre-Columbian society, supposedly without metal tools or wheels, achieve such feats? Third, the layout of the ruins hints at a sophisticated architectural plan. Despite the devastation of centuries, the ruins show evidence of a grand, complex structure featuring astronomical alignments and modular construction techniques. The H-blocks found at Puma Punku seem designed to fit together like pieces of a massive 3D puzzle, technology that seems astonishing for a society over a millennium ago. Proponents of the ancient aliens theory suggest that Puma Punku was either built by an advanced civilization that received extraterrestrial help or by the extraterrestrials themselves. They argue that the incredible engineering at Puma Punku mirrors other ancient sites worldwide: the pyramids of Egypt, the megaliths of Baalbek, the Nazca Lines, suggesting a global pattern of intervention or influence by advanced visitors. Skeptics, however, offer alternative explanations. They suggest that the Tiwanaku people were ingenious engineers, capable of remarkable achievements using methods we have yet to fully understand. Experimental archaeology has shown that with enough labor and ingenuity, precise stone shaping is possible even with basic tools. Moreover, weathering and centuries of earthquakes may have damaged and distorted the original construction, making it harder to understand the original methods used. Still, Puma Punku's mysteries remain. Unlike other ruins in South America, there are no clear records, no detailed inscriptions explaining its construction. Its origin stories speak of gods descending from the heavens to create the world and humanity itself, echoing myths found across ancient cultures. According to Andean legend, Viracocha, the creator god, appeared at Lake Titicaca, near Puma Punku, after a great flood and created the sun, moon, stars, and the first human beings. Was Viracocha merely a mythological figure, or a memory of ancient visitors who came from the stars, bearing gifts of knowledge and technology? Whether one views Puma Punku as a triumph of human ingenuity or as a relic of lost, possibly extraterrestrial technology, one thing is certain: it forces us to confront the limits of our understanding of the ancient world. Puma Punku stands as a shattered puzzle, a silent testimony to a forgotten past that may be far stranger than we ever imagined. The Moai statues. How were they really moved? On a remote island in the Pacific Ocean, hundreds of colossal stone heads stare silently toward the horizon, carved, transported, and erected without modern machinery. How did the ancient Rapa Nui accomplish this feat? Could extraterrestrial help have been involved? Easter Island, known as Rapa Nui to its native inhabitants, is one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth. Yet on this tiny speck of land, over 800 massive stone statues, called moai, were carved, transported, and erected by a civilization with no known access to wheels, cranes, or metal tools. Each moai statue weighs an average of 14 tons, with some reaching over 80 tons. Towering as high as 33 feet, these statues were hewn from volcanic tuff found at the Rano Raraku quarry, and then somehow moved across the rugged landscape to various ceremonial platforms called ahu. Mainstream archaeologists propose that the Rapa Nui people used a combination of ropes, wooden sledges, and log rollers to move the statues. Experimental archaeology projects have shown that with enough manpower, sometimes dozens or hundreds of people, it is theoretically possible to walk the statues by rocking them back and forth with ropes. However, ancient alien theorists question whether such methods fully explain the feat. First, there's the sheer logistical challenge. How could a small, resource-limited island society, without draft animals or large workforces, move such massive structures over uneven terrain for miles? Many moai had to be transported uphill or across rough volcanic rock fields. The largest statues, which were never completed, would have been nearly impossible to move with primitive technology alone. Second, the craftsmanship of the moai themselves raises questions. The statues are not crude or simplistic. They are finely sculpted, with distinct facial features, elongated ears, and intricate carvings that reflect a sophisticated artistic tradition. Third, some moai were topped with massive cylindrical stone hats, called pukao, carved from a different type of volcanic rock and weighing up to 12 tons. These pukao were placed atop the already erected statues, adding another layer of engineering mystery. How did the Rapa Nui hoist these enormous stones onto the towering moai? Ancient alien theorists suggest that the Rapa Nui may have had help, either from lost ancient technologies or from extraterrestrial visitors. One line of speculation proposes that anti-gravity technology, or sound-based levitation, might have been used to transport and lift the statues. Others argue that knowledge passed down from earlier, advanced civilizations, perhaps with alien origins, enabled the Rapa Nui to perform these monumental tasks. Adding intrigue to the mystery, Rapa Nui legends speak of a spiritual force called mana that enabled the moai to walk to their locations. Some interpret this as a symbolic memory of a lost technology, misunderstood over generations. Furthermore, the moai were positioned with careful attention to astronomical alignments. Many face inward, overlooking the island's settlements, as if guarding the people. Some researchers suggest that the statues could have been markers or transmitters, part of a greater system of communication, perhaps even with the stars. Skeptics, of course, offer more conventional explanations. They argue that human ingenuity, determination, and clever engineering account for the movement and placement of the statues. The deforestation of the island, they note, might have been a direct consequence of the massive demand for timber used in transporting the moai. Yet mysteries remain. Why did the Rapa Nui abruptly stop building and moving the statues? What led to the collapse of their society? Was it purely environmental disaster, or the withdrawal of a powerful, possibly extraterrestrial influence? Regardless of their origin, the moai stand today as silent witnesses to a forgotten age, a testament to human ambition, mystery, and perhaps cosmic connection. The staring eyes of the moai invite us to ask, what knowledge has been lost to time? And what ancient secrets might still lie buried beneath the sands of Rapa Nui? Cargo cults, evidence of past alien encounters? Imagine witnessing advanced technology without understanding it. Giant flying machines, miraculous supplies, strange beings from the sky. In the South Pacific, isolated islanders created religions around such encounters. Could ancient humans have done the same with extraterrestrials? In the remote islands of the South Pacific, a remarkable phenomenon occurred during the 20th century that sheds light on how isolated societies respond to sudden contact with advanced technology. This phenomenon, known as a cargo cult, offers a striking modern analogy for how ancient peoples might have reacted to encounters with extraterrestrials. During World War II, the Pacific Theater became a battleground dotted with tiny islands. American and Allied forces built airstrips, military bases, and supply depots in places that had previously been untouched by modern civilization. For the islanders, who had lived simple, subsistence-based lives, the arrival of airplanes, radios, jeeps, and vast supplies of goods seemed nothing short of miraculous. To the untrained eye, the soldiers' technology was indistinguishable from magic. Large metallic birds would descend from the sky, bringing food, clothing, tools, and medicines. The islanders, having no concept of industrial production or global logistics, interpreted these events through their own cultural lenses. They believed the cargo was sent by the gods. When the war ended and the soldiers left, many islanders sought to bring the cargo back. They built imitation airstrips, complete with wooden control towers, runways lined with torches, and mock radios constructed from coconuts and bamboo. They even crafted replica airplanes out of straw and wood, hoping to attract the return of the godlike visitors and their miraculous goods. The most famous of these movements was the John Frum cult on the island of Tanna in Vanuatu, where followers still, to this day, perform rituals in hopes that John Frum, a semi-mythical figure associated with American servicemen, will one day return. For ancient alien theorists, the cargo cult phenomenon is a powerful model for understanding how humanity's ancestors might have reacted to encounters with extraterrestrials. Imagine ancient humans witnessing the landing of a spacecraft. With no frame of reference, they would interpret the technology as divine. The beings themselves would become gods in the eyes of the people. Over time, the details of these encounters would be mythologized, their true technological nature lost beneath layers of oral tradition and religious symbolism. Could ancient myths about sky gods, chariots of fire, and beings descending from the heavens be the result of ancient cargo cult experiences? Consider the similarities. Sacred technology. Ancient myths often speak of magical objects, weapons of immense power, flying vehicles, miraculous healers, that resemble descriptions of advanced technology misunderstood by primitive societies. Heavenly visitors. Many cultures describe their gods as descending from the sky, often in blazing light or with loud thunder, consistent with the arrival of aircraft or spacecraft. Religious rituals. Just as the islanders built fake airstrips and radios to summon the cargo, ancient peoples might have constructed temples, pyramids, and other monuments to honor the gods and encourage their return. Skeptics argue that while the cargo cult analogy is fascinating, it doesn't necessarily prove ancient alien contact. They caution that human imagination, driven by awe and fear of natural phenomena, could easily give rise to elaborate myths without any real extraterrestrial encounters. Moreover, many ancient myths are deeply symbolic, representing human struggles with nature, morality, and mortality rather than literal historical events. Still, the cargo cult phenomenon demonstrates a universal truth. When confronted with the incomprehensible, human societies create meaning based on their existing worldviews. If ancient astronauts did visit Earth, the way they were remembered, through the lens of myth and religion, would closely mirror the processes observed in modern cargo cults. The parallels are too compelling to ignore. And they force us to ask, are the stories of ancient gods and miracles merely imaginative tales, or distorted memories of real events witnessed by our ancestors? In the end, cargo cults serve as a living reminder that our understanding of the past and of what might have visited us is shaped as much by culture and belief as by fact. They invite us to look at ancient myths with fresh eyes, open to possibilities that stretch far beyond the limits of traditional history. Atlantis, lost civilization or alien outpost. For centuries, Atlantis has captured human imagination, a glorious advanced civilization swallowed by the sea. But what if Atlantis wasn't just a myth? Could it have been a colony founded not by humans, but by visitors from another world? The legend of Atlantis first appears in the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato, around 360 BCE. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, Plato describes a vast island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, that possessed extraordinary wealth, technology, and military might before sinking beneath the ocean in a single, cataclysmic day and night. Mainstream scholars generally consider Atlantis a fictional allegory, an idealized society Plato invented to illustrate philosophical points about hubris and moral decline. Yet the vividness of Plato's descriptions, coupled with the global persistence of great flood myths, has led many to wonder, was Atlantis based on a real place, and perhaps even a real event? Ancient alien theorists take the question one step further. They suggest that Atlantis might not have been an ordinary human civilization at all. Instead, it could have been an outpost established by extraterrestrial beings, bringing with them knowledge of advanced technology, astronomy, engineering, and governance. Several elements of Plato's account support this provocative idea. First, Atlantis was said to possess incredible technology, buildings sheathed in precious metals, complex irrigation systems, and flying machines, all details far beyond the capabilities of known ancient societies. Plato even described a power source located at the center of the city, raising tantalizing comparisons to modern concepts like nuclear energy or advanced magnetic technology. Second, the Atlanteans themselves were described as semi-divine, descended from the god Poseidon, and a mortal woman. In the language of ancient astronaut theory, This could represent an ancient memory of hybridization between humans and extraterrestrials, a theme echoed in myths around the world, from the Nephilim of the Bible to the Anunnaki of Sumerian lore. Third, Atlantis was said to have fallen due to moral decay, arrogance, and misuse of its power. Some theorists suggest that this echoes a broader cosmic narrative, civilizations seeded by advanced beings, only to self-destruct through their own failings, a warning perhaps relevant even today. The location of Atlantis has been the subject of endless debate. Proposed sites include the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, Antarctica, and even areas submerged under the Atlantic Ocean. Some researchers point to structures like the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, an underwater rock formation that some believe could be remnants of an ancient city. Others highlight similarities between Atlantis and the lost civilizations of South America, such as the highly advanced Andean cultures that constructed Pumapunku and Tiwanaku. Could Atlantis have been part of a global network of ancient, possibly extraterrestrial colonies? Skeptics argue that Plato's Atlantis was a moral fable, not a historical record. They point out that no concrete archaeological evidence has ever been found to confirm its existence. Moreover, many details in Plato's story, such as the massive armies and improbable geography, suggest imaginative storytelling rather than factual reporting. Still, the allure of Atlantis endures. Its story resonates with a deep collective memory of lost golden ages, times when humanity was closer to the stars, to divine knowledge, and perhaps to visitors from beyond. If Atlantis was real, and if it was connected to extraterrestrial beings, its destruction may have erased not only a civilization, but a vital link to our cosmic origins. Today, Atlantis stands as both a cautionary tale and a beacon. It reminds us of the fragility of greatness and the possibility that in the distant past, Earth was a far more extraordinary place than we dare to believe. Ancient art, astronauts, UFOs, and visitors in stone. Across caves, temples, and ancient monuments, mysterious images stare back at us. Figures with helmets, flying discs in the sky, beings that seem not of this earth. Were ancient artists depicting gods, or visitors from the stars they saw with their own eyes? Throughout human history, art has served as a powerful means of storytelling, preserving myths, legends, and lived experiences. But scattered across the globe, certain pieces of ancient art seem to depict something far more extraordinary, encounters with beings and machines that, to modern eyes, look strikingly like astronauts and UFOs. Could ancient people have been recording real interactions with extraterrestrials? One of the most famous examples comes from Val Camonica in Italy, where thousands of petroglyphs, some over 8,000 years old, adorn rock faces. Among scenes of daily life and hunting, strange figures appear. Humanoid shapes wearing helmets with antennas, emitting rays, or surrounded by what seem to be bubbles or energy fields. These helmeted beings have fueled speculation that ancient humans may have encountered visitors wearing spacesuits. Another curious case is the Wandjina rock art of Western Australia, created by the Aboriginal people thousands of years ago. The Wandjina are depicted with large, round, featureless faces, enormous black eyes, and no mouths, features eerily reminiscent of the stereotypical gray alien image popularized today. Aboriginal legend holds that the Wandjina were powerful spirit beings who came from the sky and created the land and people before returning to the heavens. Moving to Mesoamerica, we find perhaps the most famous artifact associated with ancient astronaut theory. The sarcophagus lid of the Mayan ruler Pagal the Great, buried in the Temple of the Inscriptions at Palenque. The intricate carvings on the lid depict Pakal in a posture that some believe shows him operating a complex machine, complete with controls, breathing apparatus, and exhaust flames. Ancient alien theorists argue that Pakal is portrayed inside a spacecraft, traveling to or from the stars. In Egypt, hieroglyphs at the Temple of Seti I in Abydos appear to show what looks like modern vehicles, a helicopter, a submarine, and even a spacecraft, while mainstream Egyptologists explain these images as the result of overlapping carvings known as palimpsests Believers in ancient astronaut theory see them as evidence of ancient encounters with technology beyond their time. Other artifacts add to the mystery. Small gold objects found in pre-Columbian tombs in Colombia, known as Quimbaya artifacts, resemble modern airplanes with wings, tail fins, and upright stabilizers. Some of these gold models have even been shown to be aerodynamically sound when scaled up and tested. Across the globe, countless images depict beings descending from the sky in fiery chariots, wheels within wheels, or celestial boats, imagery that could easily align with modern interpretations of spacecraft. Skeptics caution against reading too much into these ancient artworks. They argue that many of these images can be explained within the cultural, religious, and symbolic frameworks of their creators. For instance, the Wandjina figures might represent ancestral spirits rather than literal aliens, and the supposed spaceship in Pakal's tomb could be a stylized representation of the Mayan world tree connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. Furthermore, humans have a natural tendency for pareidolia, the psychological phenomenon of seeing familiar patterns, like faces or objects, where none actually exist. In this view, modern observers are projecting their contemporary understanding of technology onto ancient imagery that originally had entirely different meanings. Yet, the persistent global recurrence of themes, sky beings, flying craft, helmeted figures, raises compelling questions. How could so many disconnected ancient cultures across different continents create such similar imagery without some common inspiration? Ancient alien theorists propose that the answer is simple, because the encounters were real. If extraterrestrial visitors did interact with early human societies, it would make sense for the people of that time to record those experiences using the tools they had: rock carvings, murals, and sculptures. What we see today might be humanity's first attempts to capture and immortalize encounters with beings from the stars. Whether one believes these artworks depict divine visions, symbolic myths, or actual alien visitors, they offer tantalizing glimpses into the minds and mysteries of our ancestors, and perhaps into a forgotten history we are only beginning to rediscover. The Bible and UFOs, ancient scriptures. Through a new lens, flaming chariots, fiery wheels in the sky, messengers descending from the heavens, ancient scriptures are filled with strange and vivid imagery. Could these be early descriptions of UFO encounters? Let's re-examine the Bible through the eyes of the ancient astronaut theory. For millions around the world, the Bible is a sacred text filled with divine revelations. Yet within its pages, we find stories that, to modern readers, sound uncannily like encounters with extraterrestrial visitors. Could ancient authors, lacking a technological framework, have described UFOs and alien beings as angels and chariots of fire? Ancient alien theorists argue that many biblical accounts are best understood not as metaphorical or purely spiritual events, but as real encounters with advanced technology, and possibly beings from beyond Earth. One of the most compelling examples is the vision of Ezekiel, described in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1. Ezekiel recounts witnessing a great cloud with flashing fire and brilliant light, and from within it emerged 4 living creatures, each accompanied by wheels within wheels that sparkled like beryl and moved wherever the creatures went. Above them was a gleaming expanse, and a throne with a radiant figure seated upon it. To ancient astronaut theorists, this reads less like a vision of angels and more like an eyewitness account of a spacecraft landing. The wheels within wheels could describe rotating mechanisms, and the brilliant light and fire might indicate propulsion systems. Another famous biblical event, often reinterpreted, is the story of Elijah's ascent into heaven. In 2 Kings 2:11, Elijah is taken up into the sky in a chariot of fire, accompanied by horses of fire. Rather than a miraculous spiritual ascension, could this describe a technological departure aboard a flying vehicle? Similarly, the book of Genesis describes the Nephilim, the offspring of the sons of God and daughters of men. Who were these sons of God? Mainstream theology sees them as divine beings or fallen angels, but ancient alien theorists suggest they were extraterrestrials who interacted with and even genetically influenced early humanity, resulting in hybrid offspring described in ancient texts. The Ark of the Covenant, too, raises questions. Described as a golden chest containing the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, the Ark emitted strange powers, killing those who touched it improperly, leveling walls, and guiding the Israelites with pillars of cloud and fire. Some theorists propose that the Ark was a technological device, perhaps a communication tool or a weapon, gifted, or left behind, by extraterrestrial beings. Even the Star of Bethlehem, which led the Magi to the birthplace of Jesus, has been speculated to be a craft rather than a celestial body. The star is described as moving and guiding them, a behavior inconsistent with natural stars or comets, but consistent with a maneuvering object under intelligent control. Skeptics argue that interpreting ancient religious texts through the lens of modern technology is problematic. They caution that doing so risks projecting contemporary ideas onto ancient worldviews that used symbolic language to express the divine and the unknowable. Indeed, religious experiences often involve visions, lights, and transcendent encounters, elements that can be explained psychologically or spiritually without invoking extraterrestrials. Yet, the ancient astronaut theory posits an intriguing alternative. What if these experiences were technological in nature, misunderstood by ancient witnesses who lacked the vocabulary to describe what they were seeing? If true, this perspective suggests that humanity's most sacred encounters may have roots not solely in the spiritual realm, but also in interstellar interaction. Of course, reinterpreting the Bible and other ancient scriptures through this lens challenges deeply held beliefs and stirs intense debate. It does not seek to diminish the profound spiritual significance of these texts, but rather invites us to consider new possibilities that expand our understanding of our origins, our history, and our place in the universe. Could it be that the divine messengers described in the Bible were, at least in part, visitors from distant stars? And if so, what messages were they truly bringing? The pioneers of ancient alien theory, voices from beyond. Every great movement starts with a spark, an idea bold enough to challenge everything we know. Meet the pioneers who dared to suggest that humanity's past is intertwined with visitors from the stars. Their theories changed the way we look at ancient history forever. The ancient alien theory didn't emerge in a vacuum. It was forged by the curiosity, research, and daring speculations of a handful of visionaries who challenged traditional views of human history. These pioneers asked uncomfortable questions, presented controversial evidence, and reimagined the ancient world through a cosmic lens. One of the most influential figures is Erich von Däniken, often called the father of the ancient astronaut theory. In 1968, von Däniken published his groundbreaking book, Chariots of the Gods, which proposed that ancient monuments, myths, and artifacts were evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. His provocative ideas captured the imagination of millions and launched a global phenomenon. Von Däniken pointed to numerous examples: the Nazca lines, the pyramids of Egypt, ancient cave paintings, and biblical stories like Ezekiel's vision. He argued that many ancient structures were too advanced to be explained by the knowledge of the time, and that ancient people, encountering alien visitors, interpreted their technology as divine miracles. Despite widespread criticism from historians and archaeologists, von Däniken's work struck a chord with the public. Chariots of the Gods became an international bestseller, sparking debates, documentaries, and a surge of popular interest in ancient mysteries. Another major figure is Zecharia Sitchin, whose work focused on the ancient Sumerians and their gods, the Anunnaki. In his book, The 12th Planet, Sitchin proposed that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrials from a distant planet called Nibiru, who created humanity through genetic engineering. Sitchin based his theories on his own interpretations of ancient Sumerian texts, interpretations that mainstream scholars dispute. Sitchin's narrative offered a bold reimagining of human origins. We are, at least in part, the product of alien intervention. His theories continue to inspire new generations of ancient alien researchers. Giorgio A. Tsoukalos is perhaps the most recognizable face of the ancient alien movement today. As the charismatic host of the long-running Ancient Aliens television series on the History Channel, Tsoukalos has brought these theories into mainstream pop culture. With his passionate delivery and now iconic hair, he has introduced millions to the idea that extraterrestrials may have shaped human civilization. Tsoukalos builds on the work of earlier pioneers, exploring new evidence from archaeology, mythology, and ancient art. His approach combines speculation with a genuine sense of wonder, inviting audiences to question conventional narratives about our past. Other notable voices include David Childress, Linda Moulton Howe, and Graham Hancock, each contributing their own research and interpretations. Hancock, in particular, focuses on the idea of a forgotten, highly advanced civilization, possibly connected to extraterrestrial visitors, that existed before recorded history. Skeptics often criticize ancient alien theorists for relying on circumstantial evidence, speculative interpretations, and selective reading of historical data. Mainstream scientists argue that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that none has yet been conclusively provided. Still, the ancient alien pioneers have succeeded in achieving something remarkable. They have opened new avenues of inquiry, inspired countless minds to look beyond conventional explanations, and challenged humanity to reconsider its place in the cosmos. Their work reminds us that history is not set in stone. It is a living, breathing field of exploration, open to revision and reinterpretation as new discoveries are made. Perhaps most importantly, these pioneers ignite our imagination. They invite us to wonder if we have already been visited, if our ancestors once walked among beings from the stars, what else might be possible? What other secrets lie hidden beneath the sands of time? The journey they began decades ago continues today, fueled by curiosity, controversy, and the timeless human drive to seek answers beyond the horizon. Ancient aliens, science versus speculation. From lost civilizations to flying chariots, the ancient alien theory captivates millions. But where does curiosity end and speculation begin? Let's explore the scientific challenges to the idea that extraterrestrials shaped our ancient past. The ancient alien hypothesis opens a window into a thrilling and imaginative view of human history, one where visitors from distant worlds helped build pyramids, taught astronomy, and inspired the myths of gods and heroes. Yet, despite its popularity, the theory faces sharp criticism from mainstream scientists, historians, and archaeologists. So where does ancient aliens stand under the light of critical scrutiny? First, critics argue that the theory underestimates the ingenuity of ancient peoples. They point out that early civilizations demonstrated remarkable skill, creativity, and determination, traits that explain monumental achievements without invoking extraterrestrials. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza. Archaeologists have detailed how workers could have used copper tools, sledges, and ramps to quarry, transport, and position the massive stones. Though the feat remains awe-inspiring, it falls within the realm of human capability. Similarly, the construction of Stonehenge, the Nazca Lines, and the Moai statues on Easter Island can be explained through human engineering methods, developed over generations through trial, error, and social organization. Second, many supposed out-of-place artifacts cited by ancient alien proponents, such as the Baghdad Battery or the Saqqara bird, have alternative explanations that do not require extraterrestrial intervention. Archaeologists suggest the Baghdad Battery may have been a simple storage vessel, and the Saqqara bird a ceremonial object rather than evidence of flight technology. Third, language and translation issues often plague ancient astronaut interpretations. Zecharia Sitchin's translations of Sumerian texts, for example, have been heavily criticized by experts in ancient languages who argue that Sitchin misunderstood or misrepresented key terms and myths. Additionally, skeptics warn against the dangers of ancient alien fallacy, the tendency to assume that if something is not fully understood today, it must be the result of extraterrestrial influence. In truth, much about ancient history remains mysterious, not because it is alien in origin, but because human history is vast, complex, and often poorly documented. Moreover, the scientific method demands evidence that is empirical, repeatable, and falsifiable. While ancient alien theorists present intriguing interpretations, they often rely on speculative connections rather than concrete, testable evidence. Despite these criticisms, it's important to recognize the value of the ancient alien conversation. It challenges us to think creatively, to ask bold questions, and to explore possibilities beyond accepted narratives. Many discoveries throughout history began with ideas that were once dismissed as fantasy or heresy. Moreover, the ancient alien theory taps into deep human instincts, the desire to connect with the cosmos, to understand our origins, and to imagine our future among the stars. Could it be that the truth lies somewhere in between? Perhaps ancient peoples achieved their wonders without extraterrestrial help, yet still gazed at the heavens, dreaming of visitors from distant worlds. Perhaps myths of sky gods and cosmic chariots are reflections of a universal human yearning to reconnect with the greater universe. Or perhaps, just perhaps, humanity's past holds secrets yet to be fully uncovered, secrets that could reshape everything we think we know. In the end, the clash between science and speculation is not a battle to be won, but a dialogue to be continued. The pursuit of truth requires skepticism, yes, but also imagination, curiosity, and the courage to follow the questions wherever they lead.